Here is a play in which the protagonist, who is really true to his self and conscience, struggles to keep to his truthful ways of life. He also proves that truth will prevail in the end. The Hour of Truth, written by Percival Wilde. The characters are Robert Baldwin, Martha, his wife John, his son Evie, his daughter Mr. Marshall, and a maid. About the author. Percival Wilde was known for his plays and detective stories. He also reviewed books for newspapers. Some of his famous works are Brothers, Little Shot, and First is Last. The Hour of Truth is from the volume entitled A Question of Morality and Other Plays. This play is a striking psychological study on the corrupting influence of money on people.
It's time he was home.
Yes, Mother.
I do hope he hasn't forgotten his umbrella. He has such a habit of leaving it behind him.
Yes, Mother.
It might rain. Don't you think so, Evie? There was a flash of lightning.
Mother, what does Mr. Grisham want with him? Has he done anything wrong?
Your father. No, Evie.
Then why did Mr. Grisham send for him?
He wanted to talk to him.
What about? Mr. Grisham has been arrested. They are going to try him tomorrow. What can he want with father?
Your father will have to give evidence.
But he is going to give evidence against Mr. Grisham. Why should Mr. Grisham want to see him?
I don't know, Evie. You know your father don't say much about his business affairs. I didn't know there was anything wrong with the bank, until I saw it in the papers. Your father wouldn't tell me to draw my money out. He thought it wasn't loyal to Mr. Grisham. I did it of my own accord, against his wishes, when I suspected.
Do you think that father had anything to do with
the wrecking of the bank? You know him better than that, Evie.
But did he know what was going on? You know what the papers are saying.
They haven't been fair to him, Evie.
Perhaps not. But they said he must have been a fool not to know. They said that only he could have known, he and Mr. Grisham. Why didn't he stop it?
He was acting under Mr. Grisham's orders.
Mr. Grisham's orders. Did he have to follow them?
Evie, I don't believe your father ever did a wrong thing in his life, not if he knew it was wrong. He found out by accident, found out what Mr. Grisham was doing.
How do you know that?
I don't know it, I suspect it, something he said. You see, Evie, he can't have done anything wrong. They haven't indicted him.
I met the assistant cashier yesterday.
Donovan.
Yes, Donovan, I saw him up at the athletic club. He said that nobody had any idea that there was anything wrong until the crash came. Donovan had been there 8 years. He thought he was taken care of for the rest of his life. He had got married on the strength of it. And then, one morning, there was a sign up on the door. It was like a bolt out of a clear sky.
And father?
He said the governor must have known. He will swear nobody else did. You see, father was closer to Grisham than anyone else. That puts him in a nice position, doesn't it?
What do you mean, John?
The governor is the only witness against John Grisham and me named after him. John Grisham Baldwin, at your service.
Your father will do his duty, John, no matter what comes of it.
I know it, and I am not sure, but what if it's right? There's John Grisham, grown rich in 20 years, and the governor pegging along as his secretary at $60 a week.
Your father never complained.
No, that's just the pity of it. He didn't campaign. Well, he will have his chance tomorrow. He will go on the stand, and when he is through, they will put John Grisham where he won't be able to hurt anybody for a while. Wasn't satisfied with underpaying his employees, had to rob his depositors. Serves him. Jolly well right.
I don't think your father would like you to talk that way, John.
Humph.
Your father has nothing against Mr. Grisham. He will tell the truth, nothing but the truth.
Did you think I expected him to lie? Not father. He will tell the truth. Just the truth. It will be plenty.
There is father now.
Evie, you stay here, let me talk to him first.
Hello, Dad.
How are you, my boy? Evie.
You are sure your shoes aren't wet, Robert?
I took the car. Not a drop on me. See.
Well, Dad, don't you think it's about time you told us something?
Told you something. I don't understand, John.
People have been talking about you, saying things.
What kind of things, John?
You can imagine. Rotten things. And I couldn't contradict them.
Why not, John?
Because I didn't know.
Did you have to know? Wasn't it enough that you knew your father?
I beg your pardon, sir.
It was only a day before the smash-up that I found out what Grisham was doing. I told him he would have to make good. He said he couldn't.
And what happened?
I told him he would have to do the best he could. And the first step would be to close the bank. He didn't want to do that.
But he did it.
I made him do it. He was angry. Very angry, but I had the whip hand. Today Grisham sent for me. The trial begins in 24 hours. I'm the only witness against. You can guess what?
He wanted you to lie to save his skin, eh? Wanted you to perjure yourself.
That wouldn't be necessary, John. He just wanted me to have an attack of poor memory. If I tell all I know, John Grisham will go to jail. No power on earth can save him from it. But he wants me to forget a little. Just the essential things. When they question me, I can answer. I will don't remember. They can't prove I do remember. And there you are.
It would be a lie, Dad.
Of course. But it's done every day. And they couldn't touch me any more than they could convict him.
How dared he ask such a thing?
Well, son, what would you have said?
I would have told him to go to the devil.
I did.
Bully for you, Governor.
I didn't use your words, John. He is too old a friend of mine for that. But didn't mince matters any. He understood what I meant. There wasn't much to say. You see, he wasn't surprised. He has known me for 35 years, and, well, anybody who has known me for 35 years doesn't expect me to haggle with my conscience. If it had been anybody else, I would have struck him across the face. But John Grisham and I were boys together. We worked side by side, and I have been in his employ ever since he started in for himself. He is desperate. He doesn't know what he is doing, or he wouldn't have offered me money.
Offered you money, Dad?
Yes, $100,000. I have got only a few years to live, but I will live those as I have lived the rest of my life. I will go to my grave clean. He put it aside for me without anybody knowing it. It is out of his private fortune, he says. It is not the depositor's money, as if that made any difference.
He offered you $100,000.
I could have had it for the one word, yes, or even for nodding my head, or look of the eyes.
How? How do you know he meant it?
His word is good.
Even now.
He never lied to me, John. I suppose my eyes must have shown something I didn't feel. He noticed it. He unlocked a drawer and showed me the 100,000.
In cash?
In $1,000 bills. They were genuine. I examined them.
And for that he wants you to say, I don't remember.
Just that. 3 words only.
But you won't.
Those 3 words would choke me if I tried to speak them. For some other man, perhaps, it would be easy. But for me, all of my past would rise up and strike me in the face. It would mean to the world that for years I had been living a lie. That I was not the honorable man I thought I was. When John Grisham offered me money, I was angry. But when I rejected it, and he showed no surprise, then I was pleased. It was a compliment, don't you think so?
A compliment which cost you $100,000.
Will the depositors lose much, Robert?
The depositors will not lose a cent.
But the paper said.
They had to print something. They guessed. I know. I tell you.
But you never said so before.
I left that for Grisham. It will come out tomorrow.
Why tomorrow? Why didn't you say so before? The papers asked you often enough.
Nothing forced me to answer, John.
They're going to punish Grisham, aren't they?
I'm afraid so.
What for?
Misappropriating the funds of the.
Oh, I know that. But what crime has he committed?
That is a crime, John.
But if nobody loses anything by it,
It's a crime nevertheless.
And they're going to punish him for it.
They can't let him go, John. He is too conspicuous.
Do you think that is right, Governor?
My opinion doesn't matter, John.
But what do you think?
I think that I'm sorry for John Grisham. Terribly sorry.
It's nothing but a technicality, Dad. Nobody loses a cent. It's rather hard on Grisham, I say.
Yes, John.
would it be such an awful thing, Father, if you let him off?
I wish I could, Evie. But I'm not the judge.
No, but you're the only witness against him.
Evie.
She's right, Governor.
You, too, John.
It is going to be a nasty mess if they put John Grisham in jail, with your own son named after him. It is going to be pleasant for me. John Grisham, Baldwin.
Robert, I'm not sure I understood what you said before. What did Mr. Grisham want you to do for him?
Get him off tomorrow.
You could do that.
Yes.
How?
By answering. I don't remember. When they ask me dangerous questions.
Oh, and you do remember.
Yes. Nearly everything.
No matter what they ask you.
I can always refresh my memory. You see, I have notes.
But without those notes you wouldn't remember.
What do you mean, John?
Then it won't be far from the truth if you say, I don't remember.
I don't see that Mr. Grisham is asking so much of you.
Martha.
Robert, I am as honorable as you are.
That goes without saying. Martha.
It doesn't seem right to me to send an old friend to jail. Now don't interrupt me.
Martha, are you telling me to accept the bribe? Money that John Grisham offered me.
Why do you call it bribe money, Father?
Why indeed. Grisham had a prettier name for it. He said that he had underpaid me all these years. You know, I was getting only $60 a week. When the crash came.
Yes, yes.
He said 100,000 represented the difference between what he had paid me and what he had actually been worth to him.
That's no less than true, Robert. You have worked for him very faithfully.
He said that if he had paid me what he should have, I would have put by more than 100,000 by now.
That's isn't it, Dad?
Who knows? I never asked him to raise my salary. When he raised it, it was of his own accord. Well, what do you think of it, Evie?
If you go on the stand tomorrow, and they put John Grisham in jail, what will people say?
They will say I have done my duty.
When they find out that they haven't lost any money, when John Grisham tells them that he'll pay back every cent, then they won't want them to go to jail. They'll feel sorry for him.
Yes, I believe that. I hope so.
And they won't feel too kindly disposed towards the man who helps put him in jail. When you pull out your notes in court, to be sure of sending him to jail. And Mr. Grisham hasn't done anything really wrong. You are willing to jail the man after whom you named your son.
I believe in being merciful, Robert.
Merciful.
Mr. Grisham has always been very good to you.
If Grisham doesn't go to jail, he will start in business again, won't he? And he can't offer you anything less than a partnership.
A partnership.
With the 100,000 capital you could put in the business, Dad. The capital doesn't matter. He'll owe you quite a debt of gratitude besides. 100,000 would mean a great deal to us. If you don't find a position soon, I will have to support you on $30 a week, Dad. Governor, you have said nothing to the papers. If you say nothing more tomorrow, what does it amount to but sticking to your friend? It's the square thing to do. He had do as much for you.
You want me to take this money? Say, yes, one of you. Or, no, I couldn't go into partnership with Grisham. People wouldn't trust him.
Then you could go into business with someone else, Dad. 100,000 is a lot of money.
God knows I never thought this day would come. I know. I know no matter how you try to excuse it. I know that if I take this money I do a dishonorable thing. And you know it. You and you. And you. All of you. Come. Admit it.
Nobody will ever hear of it.
But amongst ourselves, John. Whatever we are to the world, let us be honest with each other, the four of us. Well, shams, liars, hypocrites, thieves. And I know better than any of you. We have seen our souls naked, and they stink to Almighty Heaven. Well, why don't you answer me?
100,000 is a lot of money, Dad. Why did you refuse? Wasn't it because you were afraid of what we'd say? Well, nobody will ever know it.
Except the four of us.
Yes, Father. Someone is coming.
Who is it?
I can't see. It looks like Marshall.
Marshall.
A gentleman to see you, sir.
It is Marshall, the president of the Third National. What does he want here?
Shall I show him in, sir?
Robert, be careful of what you say. You're to go on the stand tomorrow.
Yes, yes. I'll look out.
Well, spending the afternoon indoors. How are you, Mr. Baldwin?
We are fine.
Baldwin, if you feel like coming around to the Third National sometime this week, you'll find a position waiting for you.
Do you mean that, Mr. Marshall?
I wouldn't say it if I didn't. I was in to see Grisham this afternoon. He told me about the offer he had made you. But he knew that no amount of money would make you do something you thought wrong. Baldwin, he paid you the supreme compliment. Rather than go to trial with you to testify against him, he confessed.
Confessed.
Told the whole story. I can only say to you what every man will be saying tomorrow. How highly I honor and respect your husband. How sincerely.
Please, can't you see he is crying?